Hello, my name is Adonia Akins, the person or the face behind Nia Speaks. If you want to get to know me a little bit more, you can go ahead and check out the other videos on my channel. Before this video starts, I wanted to make a little bit of a disclaimer. Every person's story is different, but we must not forget to acknowledge the fact that it does exist. The point of this video was not just to talk about something and close that chapter, but to raise awareness. Men, we see you, we hear you. We may not understand you all the way, but we want you to talk to somebody. Talk to a friend, a relative, your mom, your dad, your neighbor, but talk to somebody. And if you feel like you can't talk to anybody around you, you can personally email me at niaspeakstv@gmail.com. I'm not a licensed therapist, but I'm always here to listen to anything you have to say if you want to email me anonymously. And if you feel like you have no one to talk to and you've reached the end of your limit, I want you to go ahead and dial 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-TALK. And without further ado, enjoy the rest of the video. Male depression, a topic that very little actually address. It's like that elephant in the room. You know, you see, you definitely hear, but you must not speak on it. Growing up, I watched men's ability to express themselves be stripped from them by society, media, and even family. From rappers mentioning suicide in lyrics to the very thin line of men's masculinity. Why aren't they comfortable to speak? When or how does the conversation even start? I caught up with an old friend, and we discussed quite a lot.
What's going on with y'all? This is OZ, Azzan. I grew up around Philly, moved down to Maryland about 2012, so it's about 8 years now. I'm into music, songwriting, audio production, film. I do a lot of creative stuff. I speak for creatives. I speak for young black men. And I'm here to talk about mental health and social health and the music community and our society and try to start this conversation, of course, with Adonia, but also amongst men, because that's really the most important thing within men in our community. High school was really rough. I had my first official girlfriend in high school in 9th grade, and I think that just started the attachment and just being dependent on someone else. I mean, first of all, I was homeschooled for a small portion of high school, and that definitely caused me to feel lonely. I was overeating. I was doing a lot. I didn't really have any anything really going on socially. I was just in the house doing schoolwork, eating, for about half of the whole school year. So I know that played a role, but I think this relationships, I'm still learning who I am to this day. But I know in high school and back then, early high school, I didn't really know who I was, or I didn't know who I was. I was just trying to find acceptance. I was always hanging with the cool people, but then I wasn't the type that they would invite to the party or nothing like that. Like, they just knew me. I made music. Music was 100% an outlet. I mean, I was making a lot of party music, like DJing. Being in Philly, it's a whole lot of party club music, like remixes, so you'd be dancing. So I was doing a lot of that.
Depression is talked about in hip-hop music a lot, and I don't think people notice it. So would you say that it's being talked about, or is it being swept under the rug? Is it being addressed? Like, what would you call it out for?
Swept under the rug is a good term. I feel like everybody's hurting, so it's hard to have these conversations. It's easier to do drugs and to feel the good music than to really sit down and talk about what we're going through, because it takes effort and pain. And people don't like being uncomfortable. It's too much going on.
Yeah.
It's too much going on for us to be uncomfortable. I just want to go and listen to music. I got enough that's making me uncomfortable. Now we gotta talk about this and that. So that's honestly what I feel like it is. We just having a blast, sweeping under the rug. And I mean, yeah, people talk about pills. I mean, we know. I mean, Mac Miller was one of my favorite artists ever, and he was having deep spiritual problems, which led to mental problems and all of that. People like Kid Cudi, R&B was always the place where those emotions were mostly, I feel like. People used to sing a lot about the pain and all of that. But once it got cooler for the harder niggas to sing, they started to express themselves that way.
Is it like is it like a taboo to speak about your mental health? Is it a pride thing? Is it an ego thing? Or is it just...
It's ego, it's pride.
Would you consider it a generational thing?
It's generational, yes. Biological. I mean, I say biological because of me learning of the history of men and like being the dominant one and all that. So I can say biological, or dominant now, which leads to pride and ego and all of that. But yeah, generational too. I mean, you gotta be hard. The world is crazy.
There's an enormous amount of pressure that we do put on men to get it all together, to establish themselves. Right out of childhood, you're raised to be a man. You're raised to be a boy or whatever. You're raised and you already have this pressure put on you by your family. Not only do you have pressure put on you by your family, you have pressure put on you by society to be a breadwinner, to be the one that can bag any girl or whatever, to be the one that can feel on top. You have that pressure from society. And then you also have to bring the pressure that you had from your previous family growing up. And now you have pressure from a new family growing up. And no one is addressing the fact that men have an enormous amount of pressure.
You could say that a woman is more emotional, whatever, and if she feels like she needs to lean on you, if she feels like she needs you to take control, if that's your place, if that's the place that we put ourselves in as a species, then I feel like you gotta understand it, where that's coming from, and walk in it. Hip hop could have had a heavy influence on why we're here, but it's also having a heavy influence on how we're getting out of it.
Is it that the music is getting darker and that's influencing kids and of course adults to be more depressed and sad, and I guess encouraging the self-loathing and depression? Or is it just we're actually just talking about what we're going through at home? It's
the reflection of us. Like we can't, it's just like social media. We can't blame social media for people to being how they are. Like, nah, like this is us. We're using this platform. We make it what it is. So same thing with music. Back then hip hop started because people were telling their stories about their environment and what they're going through. You know what I mean? So no, I think it goes back to the other question. Men are just starting to be more expressive. People are starting to express themselves more. And instead of anger, now we're starting to say we're actually hurting. Oh shit, I'm suicidal. I think Joe Budden played a very large role in that as well. And he'll tell you himself, like, okay, I'm vulnerable, like, and that's okay as a man to be vulnerable sometimes.
Have you and your friends ever talked about depression? Like, have you ever?
Yeah, me and Asher, people that I'm closer to that have been there when we have more personal stuff going on. The majority of my friends, no, we don't have these conversations. We literally talk about how you never know what niggas is going through, But it's like, I be like, why? Like, that's part of the reason I want to start this podcast, and I want to have these conversations. Because why? Like, why shouldn't I know what my man is going through? Like, niggas be so surprised, like, when people be killing themselves. I remember there was a guy that killed himself from around here a couple years ago. I don't remember his name, so I'm not going to mess it up. But a lot of people were just like, damn, I didn't even know. And I'm just like, damn, well, why not? Like, there's another guy I know, I'm not going to say his name. He stay around here, he's been through a lot. And niggas say that he be lunching. But I know, I talked to the guy, he's a young guy, and he needs an outlet. Like, if he has no outlet to talk about the shit that's going on up here, it's like, yeah, he might stay lunching. Because there's nobody around him fucking helping him. So, I mean, So yeah, to answer your question, no, we don't talk about it as much as I would like to, and that's also on me. I have pride and ego and things that I'm working on, especially in the DMV. Niggas be joning on each other a lot, and it's like there are some points where guys don't really know how to process serious things. They don't really know how to process another man's emotions, and they don't really know how to. So let's just fucking joke about it. We don't need weed. You know what I mean? But people will tell you it gets them through this and that. But it's like, you weren't born with that. You're right. People refuse to admit it. And it just goes back to pride. People don't want to feel like they're weaker than they may feel, or that they may need help. At the end of the day, you got to depend on God and yourself.
Yeah.
If nobody else is out there, you got to know that you're going to be straight.
You had mentioned like death and everyone dying, and I mean, was it yesterday? Yeah, Pop Smoke died.
Yeah.
A couple weeks before that, you have Kobe. I think people kind of immortalize him in a sense.
Definitely.
What'd you say?
Definitely.
Who else? A lot of people actually are dying this year.
A lot of people. I mean, people in our neighborhoods that don't
that's
make.
What I'm saying. People die every day. Yeah.
But, I mean, we had a young cat die over here a couple months ago. I mean,
what toll does that take on people? Or coming from a male, what toll does that take on you?
Especially around here, especially when we know them, or we may even know the situation. Not to get too deep in it, but it's like we hit the chat. We talk about it like, yo, you know what I'm saying? Shit is wild out here, simply put, but we remind each other that we love each other. It may not always come out that simple. Some people aren't afraid to be like, yo, I love y'all. Some people may heart it, some people may respond. But it's like, at the end of the day, we have an understanding that life is fleeting, and like, yeah, bro, it can be any of us, and not all of us live the safest of lifestyles. So it's like we be having to remind each other, check up on each other. Yes, check up on your male friends, and that means men. That doesn't just mean like, oh, ladies, check up on you. That means men.
That was good.
Let's check up on each other. You know what I mean? Like, let's check up on each other.
The masculinity of men is so fragile. Like, there's like a very thin line for some reason. Well, we know the reasons, but there's a very thin line there's a very thin line to how much you can express yourself without looking too soft. Rappers tell you to man up. It's in the movies, it's everywhere they see, and I just feel like it's very toxic to men and their mental health when they feel like they can't express themselves because they're gonna be looked at as too feminine, because they're gonna be looked at as too verbal, or you can't have too much of a say, you can't feel too much because you're a man. And breaking that stereotype, breaking that curse that we've put, or generational curse that we've put on men, is one of the first steps as ladies or society that can help these men come forward and talk to somebody. I can't express to you guys how hard it is to get a man to talk to you. And it's not like, oh, okay, tell me your problems, let me solve them, I'm a therapist. But just getting a man to open up to you, it's hard. You can ask a girlfriend, you can ask somebody's mom, you can ask somebody's sister. It is very hard, and eventually they do, but I think it's so many factors surrounding the fact, or surrounding why they don't. Men don't talk to us. They don't feel safe with us. They don't feel like we're listening. It's like, okay, if we do get them to talk to us, we're just like, all right, chill, because you're too soft. Or if a man is always expressing himself, we're just like, oh, he's crying too much, or you crying too much. I know G Herbo had released an album. He was addressing the things that he grew up with. There's so many, like, focusing or concentrating on black men now, there's so many things that they go through. You're seeing somebody die. You have your parents telling you need to man up. You have the pressure of society, and nobody's talking to anybody. And then it's creating general curses or generational curses because you're passing this down to your children. I want to break the taboo of why men can't speak to each other, why men can't speak to us as women. And it's not for me, but I just want men to know that we hear you and we see you, and you're not by yourself. Like, if you're going through something right now and you are a man, or you're facing life, or you're facing death or whatever, we see you and we want you to talk to us, talk to somebody. And being Nigerian, there's this pressure that men have to grow up, be a man, and raise a family. And nowhere in that equation is mental health put into the play, or nowhere in that equation is the man's choice for his life put into that equation. It's almost like guys have this path that they're supposed to walk through, and when they don't walk through it, it's like you did nothing with your life. And it's so detrimental to their health. Even when it comes to dating, a lot of people aren't even looked at if they don't have an enormous amount of money. And all of these things can break down a man to feel like insufficient. He can't do anything for me, worthless. And I feel like a lot of men just naturally feel worthless. My advice to you is to check on him. Check on him. Check on that person. Check on your friend, your brother, your boyfriend. Like, sometimes just sit down and like have them really just vocalize what's actually going on in their minds. I have so many friends that I know that would say they are fine, but you just know you are not fine, or they just know that they are not okay. But they have to say they're okay because we have created a taboo to talk to somebody. Society has created a way where men feel like they cannot talk to somebody. So, you know, if you're a man watching this, I just want you to know that you can talk to somebody. There's so many outlets to seek help. Going to a counselor, reading, there's live counseling on the internet that is free. There's forums, there's websites that you can talk to somebody. Build habits that can help you. We have to break down all these past habits that the generations before us established for us that did not help our mental health. Break those taboos, break those generational curses, and build towards you, and talk to somebody that can help you. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Don't forget to comment, rate, subscribe, like it up, do all you have to do. But I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys, and bye.